Was ist das?
Hello there, here to review another tape on the excellent Bathetic label. This is their 49th, and it's a split between Motion Sickness of Time Travel and our old friend Listening Mirror. So, without any further ado, let's whack in this rather big, beautiful blue cassette. And you see, it is a big cassette. If your memory serves you right, you remember there's a lot of spools. So, basically, in effect, what you've got here are back-to-back two mini-albums. Each side has 3 different tracks by each artist, and they're also titled as well. So here we are. This is Motion Sickness of Time Travel. First track is called Slow. Now, Motion Sickness of Time Travel, those who don't know, is a work of Rachel Evans. She's called her side of the release Variations on Sleep. So that's it's rather beautiful packaging here, as was the case last time. You can see there's the track list. The rather beautiful front cover there, even right down to the little indexing. It's gorgeous all over. I do believe this one sold out straight away from the label, but the artists now have copies of it. So you're going to have to go track them down at gigs and buy them off them, because it's really, really well worth owning. It's inspired at pairing, because whilst both move in slightly different circles, there's a sonic link there, as you can imagine. Now, for those of you not seen me review a tape before, I fast forward a lot, so you'll see a lot more jump cuts in this video than you would do normally with me. What's interesting is that Motion Sickness of Time Travel isn't someone who's been lumped in with the ambient scene, as it were. She sort of sees more of the kind of that new wave of post-cosmiche electronics. You know, you hear hints of Popol Vuh, of Klaus Schulze. Definitely that great electronic space adventures of the 70s on there. Whereas Listening Mirror is somebody who's kind of more lumped in with post-classical, new ambient stuff of the scene. But there is a link there. A perfectly simple, obvious link. They both make incredibly beautiful, otherworldly dream music. But it doesn't take very long for this track to blow you away with its beauty. It's not one for playing quietly in the background. You have to pump it out and let it overwhelm your space. Now, further forward into the track, see the motif remains the same, those sort of keyboards, that haunting vocal, but it intensifies, it gets louder, more dense, but remaining to those themes there, allow you to lose yourself in it. The slow progression of time on there, you don't notice the changes, it slows time to a halt. When I cut like this, you could tell the changes in tone. Now we'll try and move you on to another track of the Motion Sickness of Time Travel side. This is the second track on there, entitled My Suspected Senses. with the slow, beautiful drift in there. So, as you can see, motion sickness of time travel, the name says it all. The motion sickness there, reflecting the disorientation, the confusion that the music gives you when you give it a suitable high impact volume. Time travel will be the way it plays with your perception of the passage of time. We'll play around with yours a little bit and move further forward. So you see, suddenly you're there in this huge sonic void of space, surrounded by voices. Can you hear them in there? They've stopped now, I've said that. She uses a voice like another instrument and mixes it in there beautifully. Subtle, wonderful effect. So we'll take you on to the last track on this side. Third and final track is called Amber Reflecting. It works beautifully as I lean here enjoying a pint, watching my breath flow down the valley, seeing the faint red glow of the distant horizon as the day fades. So we'll just jump in a bit further. So see, it levels out there. Perhaps the more sort of tonal of the tracks on her side. More of a drone piece perhaps than the other two, which are more drifting epics. So, now you've heard Motion Sickness of Time Travel side of the cassette, I think it's time we took you over to side 2 to listen to Jeff's side of it. Okay, so Jeff's side of the cassette is called Casting Our Nets to the Stars, and with a title like that, frankly, you know he's won already. You know it's going to sound fantastic and a worthy match for side 1. First track is called Saltpetre. And it says we write is a very slow, subtle fade in. It's begun, can you hear? You see, while Rachel and Jeff may have found themselves stereotyped into different genres or scenes or whatever nonsense you want to call it, they're really not that different artists in spirit at all. And full props to Bathetic for making that link there. I think there's a tendency far too much in music to stick musical acts into ghettos and scenes. People need to think outside of these boxes, break the boundaries down. Just reach out to music that's out there. And the music on this cassette on both sides is definitely out there in both meanings of the sense. I have to say though, were you to blindfold test me, I wouldn't recognise this as Listening Mirror. And I've always been a big fan of Listening Mirror ever since I first heard the EP by them from the very early days of Rural Colours. It seems to have a more dense, robust sound to it. Maybe even a little bit more cosmici, as I was saying about the other side. Some little nods to Klaus Schultz, perhaps even there, which I've not necessarily ever come across before in Listening Mirror as well. I made a little mistake earlier. And I said to you that there was 3 tracks on this side. Actually, the third line that I thought was another track actually is featuring Kate Tolston, who I think was Jeff's constant collaborator in the early days of Listening Mirror. So it is just 2 tracks. We're going to jump you forward in time now to further into this track. And you see it's still that very, very similar vibe. Big, expansive, some sneaky little details creeping in. Low in the mix, very, very subtle. Again, I think these are both artists playing with time here, with our perceptions of time. When you sit down and listen to this cassette in its whole, it's really impossible to gauge how much time has passed, unless you're staring at a clock or doing something else. When you just go and lose yourself in the music on this one, it's hard to know how long it's last. I mean, part of the music, of course, is the format of cassette. They come out in so many different lengths. They all cost the same, and sometimes you'll get a 20-minute cassette, and sometimes you'll get a 90-minute cassette. There's a disorientation in the format, really. It lends itself beautifully to these experiments by the artists. We're going to travel further forward in time. The story's still saying that still that huge wave of synth is still dominating the proceedings, it's still the top of the mix. It's what's further down in there that keeps on changing and evolving. If you were to do this whilst working on something else, cooking, writing messages, you probably wouldn't perceive the changes, the alterations in there. But when you just stop and focus on it, it all seems like a perfectly intricate, evolving symphony. Now it's quite clear that now we're on to the second track. Unless there's been some complete stylistic shift. This is called We're Alone, But You Will Never Be. And it's the one that's featuring Kate Tustin. Pretty sure was who's a collaborator. I think she played piano, I think. Or was it strings? I can't remember. See now again, this is perhaps one that doing the older Pepsi Challenge, I'd be maybe more inclined to recognise listening to it. But at the same time, it does have that whole pioneering days vibe of electronic spaced out music. It is that intense rush that you got when you first heard things like Schultz, Tangerine Dreams, early explorations, only early Tangerine Dream, I find that. I lose my tolerance to them after Phaedra. Again, like with the other side of this cassette, it's something you do need to experience at a pretty loud volume. To give this music a complete totality of your attention, it has to dominate it, I think. It needs your volume, it needs your focus. If you give it all of that, the rewards you get out of it are immense. This, I think, is an inspired pairing. I think both artists here have put 100% into it. Basically here, you're getting two killer EPs from two killer artists for the price of one excellent sounding cassette, beautiful artwork. It's no wonder this one is as rare as rocking those poo, and you see either of those artists playing a gig near you anytime in the near future, get your ass along with there and get yourself a copy of this, because I don't think there's plenty about, and I fully see why.